Hey, what's up, Nerd Squad? We're back with another NFL video. Before I get started, make sure to leave a like on the video, make sure to subscribe, and let's get into it. So, today we're going to be doing every NFL team's secret weapon heading into 2020. Now, when I say secret weapon, I don't mean that it's going to be some random guy that nobody knows about. I'm not saying that it's going to be someone that has had trash stats before that's suddenly going to have a breakout season. It's just guys that I feel have been overlooked in the past or just haven't necessarily had the production that they had potentially in the past, if that makes sense. So let's go ahead and get into it. First, we're going to be doing this by division, and we're going to be doing NFC first, starting with the NFC West. Now, starting here, we're going to be doing the Arizona Cardinals. As you've probably seen this entire video already, wide receiver Christian Kirk. He's always been kind of an underrated wide receiver for me. I put him on this list because they got DeAndre Hopkins. Kenyon Drake has been a really good running back for them. They have more weapons. I don't think defensive backs are going to need to pay as much attention to Christian Kirk as they have in the past, and I think he's going to show up more clutch. I think he's going to be a pretty decent red zone threat. I feel like he could be a potential breakout candidate here, and yeah, secret weapon for the Cardinals. Next, the Seattle Seahawks. I have Rashad Penny. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, I mean, everybody knows about him already. You know, he's had quite a few touches and put up pretty good production already. He's been injured a lot too. I put him on here because he's had a very limited role because of splitting carries with Chris Carson, as well as a lot of injuries. I feel like this is going to be a year that he finally has a full healthy year. The Seahawks have done a lot to improve their line, so I think that's going to help his production even more. I think he'll come in clutch in big moments. Next, for the 49ers, I have wide receiver Travis Benjamin. Now, I put him here because I didn't even realize the 49ers had Travis Benjamin. I pay a lot of attention to football news, and I completely didn't realize that they had him. In my opinion, he was a really underrated wide receiver for the Chargers. And now that they have other weapons like Brandon Ayuk, obviously Raheem Mostert, their starting running back, George Kittle, obviously, they have all these other weapons. A fast and pretty decent route runner like Travis Benjamin, he's gonna make a lot of good plays for the 49ers. It'll be kind of interesting to see. Next, the LA Rams. I put Malcolm Brown. Now, he's not a super well-known running back. He's kind of been hiding in Todd Gurley's shadow, I feel like. But in a pretty limited role, he produced really well. The Rams have a pretty dang good offensive line. And, I mean, Malcolm Brown, I feel like he's a really underrated running back. I don't quite understand their draft in getting I believe it was Cam Akers. I don't quite understand taking him so early because they have a good running back in Malcolm Brown. I think he's going to have a much better season, and honestly could potentially be the starter. The Cowboys were a hard one. they have a lot of really good weapons, but after those really good weapons, there's a pretty big drop-off, so there wasn't really anyone that I was confident enough with saying would be a good weapon for them. So I went ahead with Tony Pollard. He showed a lot of promise behind Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's gonna get more carries this year behind a really good offensive line like the Cowboys. He could very well make him and Zeke the best running back duo in the league. You know, teams are gonna have to start game planning more for Tony Pollard than they were before. This one's going to surprise a lot of people. The Philadelphia Eagles, they drafted Jalen Hurts. Now, word on the street is that they're going to be using Jalen Hurts as a gadget quarterback type of player, much like the Saints use Taysom Hill. Jalen Hurts is incredibly fast, can throw the ball downfield. He's not afraid of, putting his shoulder into someone. He's a tough quarterback. Keep him healthy. He could be the Eagles' best weapon here. I think this is going to be really interesting to see. This next one is also going to surprise a lot of people. Quarterback Alex Smith. Now, I know you guys are all expecting Dwayne Haskins to be the starting quarterback in 2020. I have full confidence that Alex Smith will be fully healed up from his injury and will return as the starter for the Washington Redskins. He's a really underrated quarterback, and having a rookie like Terry McLaurin as well as that running back core, they've, the NFC East teams better watch out, because Redskins could be really good, and if they have Alex Smith, it's going to be scary. I know a lot of people aren't thinking he's going to be there, but I have full confidence that he will be the Redskins starting quarterback in 2020. Next, the Giants. This one was kind of hard to do as well. I put Darius Slayton here. Now, I know a lot of people know about him, and he's not really a secret weapon. I have him here more because he was such an underrated weapon. He produced a lot for the Giants this last year. In a limited role, I think putting him in a more starting type role for the entire year, I think he's gonna emerge as definitely one of the better wide receivers in the league. I'm not saying he's going to be top 10 or top 20 or anything like that, but he could definitely emerge as the number one receiver for the Giants. I'm looking forward to it, honestly. Next, Green Bay Packers, I have wide receiver Devin Funchess. Now, a lot of people completely forgot that they had Devin Funchess. Everybody's been saying, oh, the only receiver we have is Devontae Adams, and, why didn't we draft one? Well, that's also a good question. But Devin Funchess is a pretty capable wide receiver. Definitely not a number one wide receiver, but being the number two guy with a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, this guy's gonna produce. He didn't produce much for the Colts this last year because obviously Andrew Luck retired and Jacoby Brissett wasn't, quite as good as Andrew Luck, obviously. and Devin Funchess got injured. That's kind of the main thing there. I think with the Packers, I think he's going to be a really solid number 2 wide receiver, and Packer fans really don't need to be as worried about their receiving core as they are. Chicago Bears. Now, a lot of people, including myself, forgot they had Riley Ridley. He was, I want to say, a 3rd-round pick in 2019. I believe he's Calvin Ridley's brother, or might be cousin. Didn't really see the field much in 2019 because, if I remember correctly, I believe he actually got arrested, and just did not have any type of good rookie year. I think with having Nick Foles and a few more weapons, I think Riley Ridley is going to produce really well and be a good number 2 wide receiver behind Allen Robinson. Not expecting, him to be a top receiver, but I definitely see a lot of potential in him, and it'll be cool to see. Next, the Lions. I put running back Kerryon Johnson. I put him here because he was injured a lot in 2019. Didn't see the field much. He had a really, really promising rookie year in 2018. I thought he was going to be one of the top running backs in 2019, but then the injury happened, so that kind of countered it. They drafted DeAndre Swift as if they really needed a running back that much. I don't understand that move, and I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on him as a running back, and I think it'll be a pretty nasty duo with DeAndre Swift, to be honest, and I put him here because really not a lot of people really consider Kerryon Johnson a starting running back, and I think this year, he's going to shut up a lot of people. Now, in this, I've tried not to use many rookies, but every real weapon that the Vikings have, are either like real proven starters or, Justin Jefferson. He has so much potential. I am really surprised the Eagles didn't take him. I can see him being, honestly, one of the best rookie wide receivers in this league. I'm excited to see what he can do with the Vikings. Next, the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to say Ian Thomas. Now, Greg Olsen recently left for the Seattle Seahawks. A lot of Panthers fans have been really saying we need a new tight end. I heard a lot of Panthers fans saying, let's draft Thaddeus Moss. Let's just make sure we get a good tight end. Ian Thomas, when he has had the play time, has produced. Now, yeah, he needs to work on his catching a little bit. That is one of his downsides. But he's incredibly tough. I've seen him stiff-arm defenders for 10 yards. This guy's a tough dude. He's fast. He can block. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. Next, the Saints. Wide receiver Deontay Harris. Now, he was more of a returner in 2019, but he's so incredibly fast that in the Saints system, I'm sure Sean Payton will find a way to use him in the offense too. And I think people are sleeping on him as well. Next, the Falcons wide receiver Russell Gage. Russell Gage is another pretty underrated wide receiver. Doesn't really get a lot of attention with the Falcons. Not really like a star receiver by any means. But being a number 3 receiver, after Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones, I think he could be a really clutch player. He's a good route runner, has good hands. I think he's going to bring more to the table than teams are expecting. The Bucks were also a hard one here. They stocked up on on players this offseason. They obviously got Tom Brady. They traded for Gronk. Everybody knows that. It's been all over the news. It's not a new thing there. Even O.J. Howard's been talked about a lot, but I think we're forgetting how good of a tight end Cameron Brate really is. With so many weapons there, I guarantee Bruce Arians and Tom Brady will be able to use Cameron Brate. They like to run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and with a guy like Cameron Brate, when the secondary is trying to cover Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronk, all these guys, Cameron Brate's going to be open, and he's going to make plays. So, do not sleep on Cameron Brate. Jacksonville Jaguars, I honestly completely forgot they had Tyler Eifert. He's a pretty underrated tight end for the Bengals. He's had an injury history. I think that's ultimately why they got rid of him. I'm not expecting him to be, a great tight end for the Jaguars, but with Gardner Minshew and, a potentially pretty improved offensive line, I think he's gonna surprise a lot of people. Tight end was definitely a spot they needed help on this last year, and, well, they got it. Next, let's see, Titans wide receiver Adam Humphries. He had kind of an underwhelming season in 2019. Really, 2019 was all about Tannehill, Derrick Henry, obviously, and A.J. Brown. They didn't have many other receivers on offense. I think with some more work, Adam Humphries could be a really clutch receiver, come up big in tight moments, and I think he's gonna have a bounce back year. Now for the Colts, I wasn't sure who to put here. I put Paris Campbell and Trey Burton. Paris Campbell has a lot of potential, a lot of upside, but just didn't really show that his rookie year. I think with a quarterback like Phillip Rivers, and a good offensive line, I think Paris Campbell is going to have a really good season, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on him, as well as Trey Burton. They don't have Eric Ebron anymore. Him and, what's the other tight end's name? I can't think of the other tight end's name there, but actually comment his name in the comments below. I cannot for the life of me think of what his name is right now. So make sure to comment that in the comment section. But I think these two are being really overlooked for the Colts and could really have a lot of potential for 2020. Next, the Texans. I kind of forgot they had Randall Cobb also. They obviously don't have DeAndre Hopkins anymore, but they've got a good core of wide receivers. They obviously have Will Fuller. They traded for Brandon Cooks. They have Kenny Stills. All of those guys together, as well as Randall Cobb, I think it's gonna take some attention away from Cobb, and I think he's gonna have a pretty good season. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Then the Steelers, I put wide receiver Deontay Johnson. He had a really impressive rookie year. If I remember correctly, I think he was undrafted. He was either undrafted or taken in one of the really, really late rounds in 2019. But had a really good rookie year. Shows a lot of upside. Now with Ben Roethlisberger back, I think he's definitely gonna merge as a really good duo with Juju. So that'll be cool to watch. And the Cleveland Browns, I put David Njoku here. I put him here because, I mean, they obviously still have Odell, have Jarvis Landry. They traded for Austin Hooper. Actually, Austin Hooper, I think, was a free agent. They didn't trade for him. David Njoku is still an underrated tight end. And now with so many other weapons, like I've said with a few of these other teams, they're gonna take attention away from him. He's gonna get open. He's gonna make plays. It's just an obvious thing, I feel like. The Bengals have weapons. If AJ Green is healthy, this receiving core is going to be nasty. They drafted T. Higgins. Tyler Boyd is still very capable. John Ross is fast as all hell. I think T. Higgins has the potential to be a starter. If everything goes right and they're all healthy, it's going to be a nasty offense, and a lot of attention is going to be taken away from John Ross. He'll be able to burn opponents deep, and yeah, this offense is going to take a really big step in 2020. Next, Baltimore Ravens. I put Miles Boykin. He had a really disappointing rookie year. Didn't really show much. I think he has a lot of potential. I definitely see him having a really good 2020 season. They have a lot of weapons. They know how to use those weapons. They're really good at spreading the ball out. I think Miles Boykin is going to really explode for, a really good 2020 season. Next, the Broncos. A lot of people have been forgetting about this guy. They obviously got Melvin Gordon this offseason. They still have Phillip Lindsay. Now, yeah, Royce Freeman has been injured a lot, but, having a trio of 3 very capable running backs like that, oh man, this offense is going to be nasty in 2020. It's gonna be scary. Royce Freeman, this is definitely being slept on here. Then the Kansas City Chiefs, I put running back Darwin Thompson. The Chiefs are a hard one because they have so many freaking weapons that, it's hard to even say. So they have so much superstar power that everybody gets to, produce. And I think Darwin Thompson, has a better year. It's plain and simple. They have a lot of weapons, know how to use those weapons, and Darwin Thompson's gonna have a good year. You guys were not expecting this one. I already know it. They're going to use Marcus Mariota as a gadget quarterback. I'm calling it right here. This guy is shifty, but not a great actual quarterback. I think they're going to use him for a lot of gadget plays, punch him in at wide receiver, punch him in at wildcat formations, punch him in at running back. I could even potentially see them using him as a kick returner and punt returner. I'm not saying they will for sure, but I could see it. I really think they'll use him as a gadget quarterback. But I promise this is the last quarterback on the list here. Then the Chargers, I didn't really know who else to put here, and I felt like KJ Hill is he was a really underrated prospect. I was really surprised he fell clear to the 7th round. I had more of a 5th round or even 4th round grade on him. I think he's gonna have a good season. I think they're actually gonna use him a lot more than expected, as well as I think they should, to be honest. He has a lot of upside. I think it'll translate well to the NFL. This kid's gonna be good. Patriots, I put Damien Harris. I'm sorry, I cannot talk right now. The Patriots love to use running backs. They love to use running backs. Damien Harris hasn't really had a lot of production yet because they have so many running backs. I think with, losing some of their key players, I think they're going to use Damien Harris a lot more. I could see them potentially using a lot of 2 running back or even 3 running back sets with Sony Michel and James White. I think he's gonna be a guy that nobody really accounts for, and it's gonna cost him. Then the Bills, I put tight end Dawson Knox. I also debated on putting Cole Beasley, but I feel like Knox produced a lot more but didn't get as much attention as Cole Beasley. Very underrated tight end, young tight end, and with Josh Allen improving every year, this guy's gonna go off. I'm calling it right now. I genuinely believe he has the potential to be a top 10 tight end in 2020. And then the Dolphins, this one, you guys might not really think this is a secret weapon, but I feel like they're going to start Jordan Howard this next season. But Matt Breida is such a fast running back, I could potentially see them punching him in at wide receiver, use him for a lot of dump offs, screens. I think he's gonna be a guy that really not a lot of people expect to be a star for the Dolphins. And I believe this is the last team here. I have wide receiver Brashad Perriman. He produced really well for Tampa Bay this last year. And they had other weapons. The Jets, other than, Le'Veon Bell and I guess Denzel Mims, didn't really have a lot of weapons. I think Brashad Perriman will be a really good receiver for them and pretty underrated and pretty slept on. I'm excited to see what he does in New York. But anyways, guys, let me know your thoughts. Was I too harsh on some of these guys? Was there someone I didn't mention that you feel like will have a breakout year that not many people are expecting? Let me know your thoughts. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like on the video, and I will see you next time. Later.